Now, what else is there? Chemistry honors, subject test for chemistry, and AP chemistry. Same idea. Different levels require different things. The only one I believe you can really memorize your way through is regular chemistry. That is usually easy enough if you memorize your way through and you don't change your thinking. You will still be fine. Now you get to chemistry honors or subject test chemistry or AP chemistry. That doesn't work anymore. Okay, now next. Let's take a look at a chemistry example. So I'm going to have 4 different examples of questions written at the different levels of chemistry you can take and what you need to know. The first one is going to be, well, just a regular chemistry example. So those of you who have taken chemistry before, maybe you can answer this. Which of the following properties explains why ionic compounds dissolve in water? And yes, there is a typo in there. Okay. And so for regular chemistry, all you have to do is memorize. Okay, so answer choice A, water is polar. B, water has a high specific heat. C, water is a liquid. And D, my favorite one, I don't know. Okay, so what do you have to do for regular chemistry? You can just memorize it. The answer here is A, water is polar. I see a couple nods in the audience. You guys notice. Now, this is regular chemistry. You can memorize your way through. What happens if you get to chemistry honors? Or that's actually, I don't know why this is in here. What happens when you get to chemistry honors? Then you might get a question like this. Circle all of the following properties that allow some ionic compounds to dissolve in water. Now you actually have to think your way through, hey, are any of these related to what the question is asking? Okay, so would anyone in the audience like to try answering this? Or most of you might not have taken chemistry before. You can pick answer choice G, help, I didn't know there was a pop quiz today. All right, so one brave volunteer.
Dispersion forces.
Okay.
Dipole.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it? Actually, it's A, hydrogen bonding, B, dispersion forces, C, diffusion, and not D, and E, entropy.
Oh,
yikes. Yikes. Oh, dear. Okay, all right, now let's see. What level of chemistry have you taken before?
Honors and AP.
Honors and AP? Oh, dear. Still got a 5? All right. I'll let you go for now. But, okay, this is what you want to think. Hydrogen bonding is the main key force in here. We do not consider it dipole-dipole interactions because water is a little special, right? Hydrogen bonding is technically I like to teach it as an extreme version of dipole-dipole, but when it does appear, we no longer consider dipole-dipole. Dispersion occurs in everything, so yes, it will help, even though some of you might be thinking, wait, that's supposed to be a non-polar intermolecular force. What's it doing in here with water? Dispersion forces technically occur in everything. Okay, now those of you who have no idea what I'm saying, this is the full explanation. So this is what you want to do starting at the honors level. Okay, C, diffusion. Right? Diffusion does help ionic compounds dissolve in water because if you don't have things moving around, you can't dissolve anything. So yes, the natural diffusion of water will help. Now D is technically not true because of wording and proper definitions. E, entropy. So since you've taken AP Chem before, you need to know, well, why some things don't dissolve into water is because sometimes, right, enthalpy might be favorable, but the entropy is not, so it won't dissolve. Some ionic compounds do not dissolve in water. So there are a couple of things that also dissolve into water even though enthalpy is unfavorable. Now, those of you who've taken chemistry before, think cold packs, right? That reaction requires energy, is unfavorable in terms of heat, but is favorable in terms of entropy, and that's the main contributing factor to dissolving, right? Now, looking back at this, what's harder about this compared to the previous one? Well, this one, if you try to memorize your way through, right, you still have to think, and you have to think about, well, which one of these actually helps ionic compounds dissolve in water? This is what I'm saying here, because if I were a teacher in high school, I would love to put this on my exams. Okay, just to see, well, how many of you guys were paying attention through all of these explanations here? Okay, that tells me, hey, do you understand chemistry, or are you just trying to memorize your way through? It's very, very easy to tell. Okay, now then, next, let's take a look. SAT subject test chemistry. Now, this is my favorite type of question because this specifically screws over people who try to memorize. There is a type of question on the subject test that says state whether the following statements are true or false, then if both statements are true, mark CE if the second statement explains the first. This is the type of question where they will give you two true or false questions, and then you have to think about, does the second one explain the first? So let's take a look. Statement 1, all ionic compounds dissolve in water. And then because statement 2, water has hydrogen bonding, which allows the water molecules to interact with the ions in an ionic compound. Okay, so anyone want to volunteer to answer this? No? Okay, if you look, so those of you who are taking chemistry before, statement 2 is true. Okay, statement 2 is true. Now statement 1, they try to trick you over here and they say all ionic compounds dissolve in water, because that is not true. So the correct answer to this whole question is false and then true, even though it is trying to trick you because they give a correct explanation. Ionic compounds will dissolve in water because of what's written up here. Now you have to think your way through, you have to pay attention. You cannot just purely memorize ionic compounds dissolve in water, because not all of them do. Okay, and so this is what happens on the chemistry test that trips up a lot of students. Now then, again, another one of my favorite examples, AP Chemistry. Okay? This type of question appears very, very often on the AP Chemistry exam. All of the following statements about water are true. Which of the following statements best explains why water dissolves only some ionic compounds? This is where you have to actually think, well, all of these following statements are actually true. So you need to think which one actually is the best answer to answer this question. Okay, that's what happens by the time you get to AP Chemistry. You need to have a good enough understanding of the subject so that you can read through all these true statements and figure out which one is actually true. Okay, now, this is AP Chemistry, and let's see. So the correct answer here is actually A. And since I'm assuming most of you have not taken chemistry in a while, I'm not going to explain why.